Foxes are amazing. They're great. Like a mix between a cat and a dog. With pointy features and fluffy souls, foxes have captivated the world's heart. I myself am a huge fan of foxes. Their colour and sweet faces warm my heart. Personally, I would call foxes fantastic. Fantastic Mr. Fox is a film that released in 2009 and was directed by Wes Anderson. It is based on the Roald Dahl book of the same name. This book came out in 1970. This is not going to be me discussing if it's a good adaptation. This is just going to be a very autistic video on why I enjoy the film. The plot of the film is that Mr. Fox, voiced by George Clooney, wants to move house, but to do so needs to return to the life of the hunter. He quit his dangerous lifestyle when his wife, Mrs. Fox, told him she was expecting a cub. There are so many things that I like about this film, from the warm colours and the music, or even the small things like saying cussing instead of swearing. I'll start with the visuals, I think. Fantastic Mr. Fox is primarily made with stop motion. The characters are puppet models, and every frame is a different picture. Can you imagine that? How much work that would take? I could never. There is a special place in my heart for stop motion and claymation, having grown up watching the likes of Wallace and Gromit, Postman Pat, and Pingu. I have very fond memories of watching those as a child, so to see this style in a film based on a book from my childhood was something very special. Of course, there are many other stop motion films, but this one just feels right. Other than animation style, there is the colouring of the film. Foxes are orange. The palette for the film is warm and cozy. The whole family are warm toned, apart from the cooler cousin Christopherson. It is one of the most visually pleasing films I have ever seen. It'll likely stay that way too, unless something new comes around. I gotta bring up the music in this film as well. I am a bit of a music nerd, so the soundtrack is very important to me. The standout song of the film is Let Her Dance by the Bobby Fuller 4. Honourable mention to Heroes and Villains by the Beach Boys. The score for this film was done by Alexander Desplat? Display? I don't know how you say his name. Who seems to have done music for everything ever, it seems. The film ends in a dance party. It has to have good music. The characters in the film are also very captivating. Our title character goes on a real journey. In the prologue, he quits hunting to be fulfilled as a father. He loves his son, but he isn't satisfied. The kid isn't what he was expecting. He writes columns in a newspaper nobody reads. During the film, he tries to get what he wants. But, as is life, what you want isn't always what you need. Mr. Fox learns this the hard way. His actions have consequences that he wasn't all that prepared for. But he grows and learns, and by the end of the film, he is trying to be a better man. Fox. Mrs. Fox is voiced by the Queen, Meryl Streep, and is the voice of reason to her husband's antics. There is an iconic scene where she walks in on his scheming, puts it together, and just says,
"If what I think is happening, it better not be."
and I just love that for her. The littlest fox in the family is called Ash. He is small, has an attitude, and loves watching trains. It's just like me for real. He wants so badly to be liked by his dad. He tries to be good at whack-ball, but fails. If my whack-ball coach was also voiced by Owen Wilson, I'd try my best too. Can't have Lightning McQueen disappointed in you. As the film goes on, he goes from being the black sheep to embracing that he is different. He learns his dad isn't as cussing cool as he thinks he is. That gives him something to bond over. There is a beautiful scene in the film, 52 minutes in, where Mr. Fox has this realization that he isn't as good as he thinks he is. His son and nephew have just been in danger trying to do something for him, to prove themselves for him. Innocent forest creatures' lives are destroyed by his actions, and it's hitting him how much of a cussy situation this is. Meryl Streep follows him out to the waterfall, lit up by the street lamps above. They have a very raw conversation. It ends with Meryl saying, "I love you, but I shouldn't have married you." And it is such a true statement. She knows that if they weren't married, if they didn't have this family, then he wouldn't feel the need to prove himself. He could be as wild as he wanted. Towards the end of the film, Mr. Fox, Kylie, and I think Ash come across a wolf. Mr. Fox calls him Canis lupus, his Latin name, which does bring up some questions about the fantastic Mr. Fox universe, but that would be a video for another day, I think. There is a certain level of eeriness to the scene. Mr. Fox is confronted by this lonely, wild lifestyle the wolf lives. It's what he could have had. He could have been alone and wild, or trapped and well, not trapped, but dissatisfied with how his life was, but have a fox wife and a fox son. I think that is a moment where he realizes that he prefers the situation he's in. He would rather have this family than be a lone wolf, as it were. Overall, I think Ash and Meryl Streep Fox are my favourite characters, with honourable mentions to Kylie the Possum and the alcoholic rat voiced by Willem Dafoe. The film is so comforting to me. I remember sneaking off into a room a few years back when I was overwhelmed and watching it to calm down. Something about the animation, the music, and the visuals just feels like a warm hug. It's one of those films that I need to watch every year, maybe even multiple times. I'm well aware that film reviews are a new thing on this channel, but when divine inspiration hits, you have to run with it. I've been wanting to do more long form videos, and I can think of no better way to start the year than with a review of one of my favourite films.